All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Well, it's not really a video about the 49ers. It's more of a video about Bob Myers and Adam Peters, which is kind of a video about the 49ers. But we'll talk about it next. But first, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get the brisket chili. Tell them the Krug sent you. And, of course, this video is also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check that link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, and they will match you up to your first $100. All right, it came out today. A couple different announcements. It sounds like Bob Myers could be headed to the Washington Commanders to run their front office, or at least put the structure in place of a brand new front office. They're cleaning house in D.C. Ron Rivera is out. The general manager is out. They're looking for a new beginning. And, this makes sense that Adam Peters, and of course, according to Adam Schefter, he's also reporting simultaneously that the 49ers have been asked by the Commanders for permission to talk to Adam Peters about their general manager's opening. All right, let's talk about this on a lot of fronts. One, from Bob Myers' perspective, this makes perfect sense. Bob Myers is a huge talent. He could do a lot of different things. Does he want to be an agent again? Nah. Does he want to run an agency again? I don't think so. Does he want to be a general manager in the NBA? No. Does he really want to hang out in Bristol, Connecticut and chop it up talking NBA ball? He can. As he plots his next move, but that's just to maintain relevance more than anything. Bob Myers is looking for something big. And what would be big? Rebuilding the iconic franchise that used to be the Washington Redskins, that's now the Washington Commanders, and maybe getting a piece of the pie along with it. So you think about the Washington Redskins and then Commanders. They were purchased by Daniel Schneider. At the time, they were kind of like the 49ers of the East. They were an iconic brand. They were a winning team. They have a huge fan base. They're one of the most iconic franchises in the NFL. And under Daniel Schneider's stewardship, the whole thing crashed and burned. They got out from underneath the Redskins moniker to a much more PC-friendly Commanders moniker, but that was the only positive change. For the most part, there's been all kinds of ill repute brought against Schneider and the organization, and they're no longer the iconic brand that they once were. Well, enter Bob Myers. And if I'm Bob Myers, this would be a very smart deal. You go to the Commanders, maybe they give you a little piece of the pie. You go to your UCLA buddy, Adam Peters, and you say, hey, come in and rebuild this football brand. And Peters is an outstanding GM. You hire him. He then hires a coach. They change the brand and the football team from a loser to a winner. And suddenly you've got momentum to build a brand new stadium, which they also badly need. They're in an area of the country that is diehard for Commanders football, where the popularity of the franchise is dimmed a little bit, but there's still deep-rooted popularity for that franchise and for that brand in that region of the country. So if I'm Bob Myers, this might be the perfect gig. Maybe you get a little piece of the pie. You go from being a multimillionaire to potentially a billionaire as the league grows in value. You bring in your UCLA buddy, Adam Peters, to run the show. Now you're getting better football players. He hires a good head coach. Now you're winning games. Now you've got momentum. Now you're making more money. Sponsors come back. You build the stadium. And suddenly you've resuscitated the Washington Commanders into the iconic brand that it was under Jack Kent Cooke and Joe Gibbs and Bobby Beathard and Charlie Casserly, and that it has failed to be throughout the Schneider regime. So I understand why that works for Myers. I understand why that's super attractive. Does he really want to take the reins of an NBA team again? No. He got lucky with Steph Curry. He inherited Steph Curry, made a couple of nice picks with Draymond Green, and added some nice pieces around it. Made a couple good decisions along the way, kept the thing together, won some titles. But does he really want to go back and try to recreate that and lean on 18, 19, 20-year-old young basketball players and hopefully win in the lottery? I mean, he could, but there's all kinds of risk and there's no guarantee it works out. Does he want to go be an agent again? Probably not. Does he want to run an agency? Maybe. There's still a lot of hard work involved in that, and the upside's limited. But if he could resuscitate a brand, an iconic NFL franchise, when you look at the NFL pie and the growth of that industry, the NFL pie has gone from a $7 billion industry to a $15 billion industry to a $25 billion industry, all in like 15 years. So now with the gambling money coming in, that could go from a $25 billion industry to easily a $50 or $100 billion industry. And if you got a piece of the pie, you are going to be filthy rich. So I love the idea from Myers' perspective. And then obviously the fact that Myers has been spotted at Niner games recently makes a lot of sense that there's a connection to Adam Peters. Peters is one of the best young executives in the game. All right, let's flip the card and talk about it from Peters' perspective or from the Niners' perspective. From Peters' perspective, he wants to run his own show. He's an outstanding executive. He knows he is. He, left Denver to come back to the Bay Area because he's from Cupertino and wanted to be in the Bay Area. But now you get John Lynch running the Niners, and he's kind of the second in command. And Lynch doesn't show any interest in necessarily moving on. And who knows? Maybe Peters would like to move on to his own team. He wouldn't be the first guy to want that. So it makes sense from Peters' perspective. You get big money, total control. You're taking over a team that's dormant, that needs to be rebuilt. There's nowhere to go but up. And so it's a win-win for him. He gets the job that he wants in another iconic franchise. The only thing he doesn't get is he doesn't get a local team. He's from Cupertino. Supposedly left the Broncos because he wanted to be in the Bay Area. Now he'd be leaving the Bay Area to go to Washington, to rebuild another iconic brand in the Commanders. So he gets almost everything except for the 49er gig. Now, if you're the 49ers, how do you react to this news? There's a salary cap in the NFL. You can only spend so much on players. So you can't have every great player. But there is no salary cap on coaches, and there is no salary cap on executives. And John Lynch may be a long-time guy at this position. He may not be. The 49ers win the Super Bowl in a month, and John Lynch suddenly decides, hey, you know what? Mission accomplished. And now maybe I'll do this for a year or two, but I don't want to do this forever. I don't want to spend 100-hour weeks, slaving over every 49er issue. I've got a great family and a great home, and maybe I'll go back to a cush deal or just enjoy my family, enjoy my life, and not work 100-hour weeks. He would have accomplished everything there is to accomplish. He's a Hall of Fame football player. He's safely ensconced in Canton. He would have built now a 49er team into a Super Bowl champion. I don't know what Lynch's plans are. Maybe he wants to be here long term. Maybe he just wants to climb to the top of that mountain and win that championship and then ride off into the sunset. We really don't know. But from Jed York's perspective, there is no cap. And I really think Adam Peters is, probably the guy who's in line to replace John Lynch as the head of the 49ers. So if you're Jed York, how do you react if the Commanders, according to the reports, have asked for permission to speak to Adam Peters? Well, first of all, you got to grant permission. I mean, that's first and foremost. Why? Because that's the way it's done. You don't stand in front of guys who want to have advancement. You celebrate that advancement and you give them an opportunity to interview for jobs that they covet. But if I'm the Niners, if I'm Jed York, man, I extend myself in every way possible to retain Adam Peters at all costs. Not that it's desperate, like Adam Peters is the only guy that could run the 49ers, but I would do whatever is required to keep him. Change his title if you have to. Promise him that he'll take over for John Lynch when John Lynch decides to ride off into the sunset. up his salary. As I said, there's no salary cap on executive salaries in the NFL. Up his salary significantly. Give him more power immediately. Do everything that you can to show him that you appreciate him and that you want him to stay in the 49ers organization. So, very interesting news on this January 8th Monday, with the day they call Black Monday around the NFL. Ron Rivera's out. The Commanders are looking for a new head coach. They're looking for a new general manager. But more than anything, they're looking for a brand new direction. And Bob Myers, I really believe, is the key to that direction. I think Peters is his dream candidate. They're going to interview other guys, top guys. The Chiefs assistant GM, to Brett Veach, is going to get an interview as well. And they'll probably interview 2 or 3 other really qualified candidates. But I got to believe that the UCLA connection, the Bay Area connection, that if Myers is involved, that Peters is target number 1 of the Commanders. But from the Niners' perspective, they got a good thing going. They got a 24-year-old quarterback. They got a young head coach. They could start their own run where they win 4, 5, 6 more titles. And if I'm Jed York, I'm paying what needs to be paid. There's nothing but money laying around in the NFL. That's how Jed paid off Harbaugh's coaching staff. He paid off the mistake known as Jim Tomsula and his entire coaching staff. That's how he paid off the mistake of Chip Kelly and his entire coaching staff. How is Jed able to do that? The NFL has ridiculous revenue streams right now, and they're on the verge of getting even more ridiculous. So take some of that money, Jed, and give Peters what he wants. Change his title, promise him the job long-term, up his salary, give him immediate power, and retain one of the better executives in the game. Because it's very difficult to find somebody who can work in your building, work in your culture, can work side by side with you, Parag, your coaching staff, your other executives, that knows your culture. You might go through 2 or 3 other candidates before you get the next Adam Peters. So if I'm Jed, I'll give the Commanders the right to interview Adam Peters, but then I'm topping all offers. What do they offer you, Adam? We'll top it. What kind of control do you have there? You'll have that here. What do you want here to stay? We'll do it. Is Peters the last guy in the world that could run the Niners? No. The Niners could say goodbye to Peters and go with Tom Telesco, who's a great young executive, just cut loose a few months ago by the Chargers. Telesco's probably as good a drafter as Peters is. It's not a desperation thing. It's not like, oh my God, you got to have Adam Peters or the whole place is going to go to crap. No, that's not it at all. It's just you have a guy who's local. He's a Bay Area guy. He knows your culture. He fits in your culture, and you have momentum going right now. Why interrupt that? Does he really want to move his family across the country and go live in Maryland and try to recreate what Jack Kent Cooke and Bobby Beathard had cooking there years and years and years ago? Maybe, but maybe not. And maybe he'd rather stay if he just got the things that he wanted. So very interesting Monday involving 2 big-name power executives, Bob Myers and Adam Peters. And I understand why the Commanders thing would be attractive to Myers and why Myers would be attractive to the Commanders. And I understand why Peters would be so attractive to Myers as well. And I would bet anything, $1 to a dime, that Peters is Myers' number 1 candidate to run that ship in Maryland. But if I'm Jed, I think I up my ante and say, hey, Adam, all things being equal, why don't you stay here and make a real pitch to retain him? Because I think he's important. I think the 49ers right now, I think, are doing free agency better than anybody else in the game. They're letting the rank and file free agent walk. They've targeted and, just premier guys like Mooney Ward and Javon Hargrave, and they're taking those extra compensatory picks and that they're getting from those departing free agents, and they're pouring it back into the roster, pouring it back into the draft. They're doing very well on day 3 of the draft. They're doing very well on attracting undrafted free agents. The 49ers right now are almost on top of the football world, and it's because of personnel. It's because of players. And Adam Peters is the conduit to those players. The Niners are doing it right in free agency, and they're doing it right for the most part in the draft. Are they perfect? No. Is Peters the only guy who can do it? No, but he's doing it right now, and he fits your culture. And he's a young man who's got a future ahead of him. And I would offer him not the world, but maybe 4 or 5 of the continents to stick around and stay with the 49ers. All right, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show, and of course, thanks to Underdog Fantasy as well. Check that link in the description. Use that promo code Krug, KRUEG, and they'll match you up to your first $100. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.